everybody, it is Sunday, and that means it is time for Sunday screening with me, Nina Soden, the redheaded author. And today we are talking about Joker. All right, this is a 2019 release. It is actually still in the theaters. I saw it in the theater last weekend, and we are going to dig right in. This one is directed by Todd Phillips. It's also written by Todd Phillips and Scott Silver. It stars Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck, or the Joker, Robert De Niro as Murray Franklin, Frances Conroy as Penny Fleck, Arthur's mother, and Brett Cullen as Thomas Wayne. Thomas Wayne, that's right, Bruce Wayne's father. All right, this one is a crime, drama, thriller. Yes, it is a DC Marvel character, but this isn't really a comic book story. This is the Joker's backstory, his origin story, something completely different than we have ever seen before. It has a runtime of 122 minutes, but it is go, 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 learn, 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 and it is full and packed with some great stuff. So it does not feel like you are sitting there for 122 minutes. All right, here we go. The show rating, I gave this one an overall 5 out of 5 stars. For writing and story, 5 stars. Cinematography, 5 stars. And characters and acting, 5 stars. That's right. Very, very rarely does anything get a straight 5-star rating from me, but this one deserved it. All right, here is the IMDb storyline. In Gotham City, mentally troubled comedian Arthur Fleck embarks on a downward spiral of social revolution and bloody crime. This path brings him face to face with his infamous alter ego, the Joker. It is gritty, it's an amazing story, and Todd Phillips has taken us to a completely new way of thinking and of looking at the Joker, at Arthur Fleck. All right, so my 2 cents on this movie. This film is fantastic. I will just put that out there right now. Obviously, I really enjoyed this film if I gave it a 5 out of 5 star rating, but it is probably not for everyone. Not everyone is going to love this film. I know that it received a lot of negative reviews and a bunch of criticism before the movie even opened about the amount of violence that is involved in the film. However, I feel that it also deserves a lot of praise, both for the writing and for the acting. And I think that the risks taken by writers Todd Phillips and Scott Silver were amazing. What they did with this character, and I don't want to give away too much, but what they did with this character and his origin story differs so much from what you will read in the comic books or any of the movies that we have seen so far about, or that include the Joker. And I think that could have tanked, but I think they did it in such a great way that it works so well. All right, before seeing the film, I was a bit concerned. I had heard that there was talk of extreme, unnecessary violence, and I had no idea what to expect. However, after seeing the film, I can honestly say that that was not the case at all. After watching movies like John Wick, which are just riddled with violence, to the point that it's hard to even remember a scene that didn't have violence in those movies, this film is very tame in comparison. This is more drama than violence. In fact, the first time that Arthur Fleck actually kills somebody in the movie, it's in self-defense. Okay. Sure, it is very clear in the moment that he is doing it and after that he enjoyed it. So that leans a little bit towards that typical evil of the Joker. We see that come through, but at that point he isn't even the Joker yet. All right, so writing and story, I gave this one 5 stars. Wow. Okay, so the origin story of the Joker has always been a bit confusing to me. I guess I never really understood where he was coming from or why he became the Joker. And it's always seemed a bit unrealistic and contrived. However, writers Todd Phillips and Scott Silver really developed a believable, heart-wrenching backstory that allows the audience not only to understand why or how Arthur Fleck becomes the Joker, but to also sympathize with his situation and even root for him at times. This film really forces you as an audience member to think about mental illness and how we as a society often fail to give the appropriate care and attention and medical treatment to those that really need it. How we fail as a society to take care of our members that need this type of help. Arthur Fleck is functioning in society. It's a struggle, but he is doing it. He is a functioning member of society. And then when funding for his state-funded therapy is canceled and he can no longer see his therapist and get the medications that he's been prescribed, he spirals downhill, and we see what his mental illness, what his past and his life of abuse has done to him. And I think that that is our failure in society. With people like this, we often fail. All right, cinematography, I gave this one 5 stars. The camera angles used in this film oftentimes were just truly stunning and beautiful. And they helped to pull the right emotions out of the viewer, out of the audience, and I absolutely loved that. One scene in particular was when Arthur is dancing down the steps and the camera is down there lower on the steps and we just see him bigger than life, and it's amazing. It is such a great shot. And the joy that he is feeling, it is just portrayed both frighteningly and delightfully as we watch this. It's scary and it's childlike all in the same moment. Another case would be when Arthur has just been beaten down in the streets and the camera is really low on the ground right there with him. And as an audience member, being down there on the ground with him, seeing his eyes, seeing his struggle, you really feel his pain and his fear and his anger and just a complete rush of helplessness. And I think that that trick of the camera of just getting down there on his level really helps to move the audience and bring them closer to Arthur Fleck and understand and sympathize with his situation. The way that this movie is filmed really made me feel like I was watching a Martin Scorsese film, like Taxi Driver or The King of Comedy, even Raging Bull. It just had a very similar style to it. And then after seeing the film, I read some reviews that said the same thing. However, the reviews that I read put this as a negative, and I don't really understand that because I really liked it. Now maybe it's because I'm a huge Martin Scorsese fan. I absolutely love his filming style, and you know, Taxi Driver and Raging Bull, those were all some of my very favorite movies. So to have that similar style, that similar feel, even some same camera angles and movements at moments where you're like, oh, I remember that. To have that, it was more, you know, they say that imitation is the highest form of flattery. And to me, that's what this film was doing. In the moments where it imitated, in those small moments where you felt deja vu almost watching this film. It was more flattery than it was cheating and taking away from those other movies. All right, characters and acting, I gave it 5 stars. Joaquin Phoenix, wow. Joaquin Phoenix was brilliant in this film. I can't think of another actor that could have played this role in quite the same way or with the same amount of emotional connection. There are so many moments throughout the film where I was just swept away emotionally and even brought to tears because of what Arthur was going through. It isn't because I agree with the violence and the killing or how he handled things, but it's in those moments, such as the first time he attempts stand-up comedy and all he can do is laugh. And it's in those moments where he is literally beaten down in the street, in the subway. And as an audience member, you can feel his fear, his anxiety, his depression, his pain, and his torment. And it is gut-wrenching, and it is emotional, and he is so true to his character. And Joaquin Phoenix is just fantastic. No holds barred. He is 100% in, and he gives 1,000% of himself to this role. In an interview, Joaquin said that perfecting the Joker's laugh was the hardest part about playing the character, and I can completely see why. Laughter is usually associated with joy and delight and comedy. However, when the Joker laughs, when Arthur Fleck laughs, you see this internal struggle. You see this pain and this desperation and this anxiety of trying to communicate, of trying to get his point across, of trying to find the words, of trying to control his emotions. It is in complete conflict with the act of laughing. All of those emotions are in complete conflict with the act of laughing. And he does it beautifully. Joaquin Phoenix stated that he watched videos of people who suffered with psychological laughter in order to get that laugh right. And he gets it right. He gets it so perfect that it is uncomfortable to watch. Okay, he stated also that he had been interested in the light of Arthur. For lack of a better words, the light of Arthur. It wasn't just the torment, it was the joy, his struggle to find happiness and to feel connected, to have warmth and love. He didn't think of the character as tormented. Ultimately, I feel like Joaquin Phoenix was able to bring out all of Arthur's deepest emotions and make him a character that audience members can both relate to and sympathize with. Okay, so here's a little fun fact. I had mentioned King of Comedy before. So Robert De Niro's role as Murray Franklin in this movie, he is a talk show host who gives Arthur Fleck his big break, and even the name, the Joker. So he's basically essentially making fun of him on his show as he plays a clip from Arthur's first time trying stand-up comedy at a local club. Somebody submits this clip of him and all he can do is laugh. It's a really emotional moment, but Robert De Niro plays this talk show host who's making fun of him, and he calls him the Joker at that moment. But the whole idea of that talk show host, Murray Franklin, is a complete role reversal from Robert De Niro's character in The King of Comedy. So in that film, back in 1982, he played Rupert Pupkin, I believe was the name. He's an unsuccessful, mentally unstable comedian who stalks and kidnaps his favorite talk show host, Jerry Langford, who was played by Jerry Lewis. So this is a complete role reversal. In that movie, he played the mentally disabled or mentally unstable character, the comedian, and now he's playing the opposite. He is playing that talk show host that is now making fun of or giving the big break, I guess, to Arthur Fleck, and ultimately names him the Joker. All right, I'm not gonna tell you how that happens, but you should definitely watch the movie to find out. All right, my favorite quote. I have two of them in this film. The first one is, "The worst part of having a mental illness is people expect you to behave as if you don't." The worst part of having a mental illness is that people expect you to behave as if you don't. And I think, again, this is part of our failure as a society to recognize and help those people with mental illnesses, but instead to treat them as if they're loud, noisy kids. You know, back in the day, loud, noisy kids, kids were supposed to be seen and not heard, which in my opinion is not the case. Listen to your children, hear their laughter. Children's laughter is like the best thing in the world. But again, with mental illness, you know, people tend to push them aside, see but not hear type of thing, and behave like you don't have a mental illness, and I think that's really a travesty. All right, my second quote is this: "I used to think that my life was a tragedy, but now I realize it's a comedy." I just think that's awesome. It's all in perspective. Now, granted, the Joker goes a completely different way, a violent way, and that's not great. That's not appropriate in real life. For the movie, it's great, it's awesome. But in real life, not so much. But when you feel like your life is down, when you feel like you're in a tragedy, maybe change your angle. Look at it a little bit differently. Maybe you'll find something brighter or comedic in there. All right, this film is dark. It's terrifying. It's gritty, it's raw, and often uncomfortable. Yeah, but it's this uncomfortable, raw character study of a man who has been mistreated, abused, both emotionally and physically, and overlooked by everyone in his life for years and years and years, and it is so well done. This film dives into how the circumstances of life and long-term abuse have affected Arthur Fleck, physically, emotionally, and mentally. I highly recommend seeing it for yourself. See it on the big screen so that you can get that full effect of the amazing camera angles and the larger than life close-ups, because you just can't get the same thing from a small screen sitting in your living room. So have you seen The Joker yet? If you have, comment below and let me know what you thought. If you haven't, you should. All right, I want to know what you think of this movie. I want to know if you agree or disagree with me, so please let me know. As always, I recommend you see this film for yourself because my feelings might not jive with yours. All right, this was Sunday Screening with me, Nina Soden, the Redheaded Author. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe to my channel so you never miss a video. Until next time, enjoy the movies.